If y'all want to be a defensive menace and show out for your squad, I highly recommend you guys watch this video all the way through to the end. What's good, YouTube? This is Googa2Lovely. I'm back with another video, and today we got an exciting one for the channel. What we got today is Lockdown Academy. So I'm gonna be giving y'all all of my secrets, tips, and tricks to become a better lockdown defender in the park and the rec. We're gonna have 4 overall sections, and I'm gonna have everything time-stamped at the bottom. First, we're gonna go into a quick little intro section that's gonna maybe show some builds, and we're gonna talk about adrenaline on defense because a lot of people sleep on it. Next, we're gonna head into perimeter D. That's gonna include blitzing, bump steals, on-ball steals, and passing lane steals. Then we're gonna go right into interior defense, so that's gonna include all of the basics to your paint defense and also chase down blocks. And then finally, we're going to be going over how to properly press in 2K. Man, it took me hours to get all of this footage for you guys, so if you enjoyed this video, please drop a like. It means the world to me and it's free to do. And if you guys enjoy my overall channel or my content, I'm gonna give you guys a chance. We're gonna stop the video and give you a chance to subscribe right now. Okay, how about now? Right now. And this is your final chance to subscribe. Please do it now. All right. And finally, all the links to my other socials are going to be in the description, along with my Discord server, so feel free to join that and pull up. And as I like to say, enough talking, man. Let's just get straight into the video. So we in section 1 right now, and this is the exact lockdown build that I used to get all of the gameplay in this video. This is my lockdown build that I posted about a month ago. I like to call this my 99 steal lockdown of death. And if you guys are interested in creating this build, the link to this video that I posted will be in the description, so please feel free to check that out. This is the best lockdown build that I have ever made and the most fun I've ever had playing on any lockdown build. Whatever locks you guys decide to use should be the best fit for your playstyle. And actually, my next video up, I will be releasing a Demon 6'8 big that has really good defensive stats. I just need to get more clips on that build. So if you guys are looking for a 6'8 more taller big that's meta for the park, I'll be dropping that video very shortly after I post this one. Real quickly, I just realized this is after editing this portion that I forgot to talk about this section. But if you go into your controller settings, there's a few settings that you want to look for. So as y'all can see, if y'all scroll to the very bottom, these are the settings that I like to use on defense. Pro stick defense absolute, shading indicator on. I turn who to guard off. If you notice, I don't like the arrows. I think they mess me up a little bit. I just use my IQ to know who to rotate to. And my biggest thing, defensive assist strength. I've lowered this down to 10, and I'm actually working on lowering it completely down to 0. I think a lot of times in zone or when you try to switch mans, it takes forever for your arrows to switch. And a lot of times your back is turned to the player. You can't actually guard them. So I actually recommend you guys try to turn this down to 0 and practice with it. And then last but not least, box out assist strength. I just leave that at 50. That's the default setting. But without further ado, let's head into adrenaline. All right, Franklin, let's have a seat because I think it's about time that we talk about defensive adrenaline. If you take a look at the bottom of your My Player, y'all can see that you guys have 3 adrenaline bars just like you do on offense. And for every time y'all go for a reach attempt or a block attempt, you lose 1 adrenaline bar. And when you lose all of your adrenaline bars on defense, you become less effective on the defensive end just like you would on offense. So listen up here, Franklin. Whatever you do, do not end up like this motherfucker on the screen right here. Because if you do, it'll be infinitely harder for you to reach and to try to jump for a ball. And the best you could do is follow your opponent around and hope that they don't get by you. But listen up closely, Franklin. Everything is going to be okay. Just because you ran out of adrenaline on 1 defensive possession doesn't mean you are permanently screwed. Because every time there's a possession change, or if the opposing team gets an offensive rebound, your adrenaline automatically refills to all 3 full. So keep that in mind before you start going crazy, reaching for passing lane steals, on-ball steals, or jumping like your life depends on it. With all that being said, congratulations, Franklin. You just finished chapter 1 of Googa2Lovely's Lockdown Academy. Next, let's head into perimeter defense. 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 perimeter defen Congratulations on making it to chapter 2 of Professor Guga's Lockdown Academy. In this portion, we're going to be focusing on perimeter defense, on-ball steals, bump steals, blitzing, passing lane steals, all the juicy secrets and techniques y'all need to know to become an effective perimeter defender. But what exactly is blitzing, you may ask, Franklin? Well, you fucking listen to me, Franklin, and I'll explain to you what blitzing is. Just like y'all football fans might think, blitzing is just essentially when another person forces their man into you and you attack them, put the pressure on them, and force them into making an uncharacteristic mistake. So as y'all can see in this clip right here, the defender to my right forces his man left, and I collapse on him and I go for the steal. Blitzes are pretty much effective in all forms of defense you can play on 2K, but from the experiences that I've had, it's most effective in zone defenses, specifically 2-3 and 3-2 zones, but don't get it twisted, it can also work in a man-to-man as long as y'all communicate y'all rotations. But not every successful blitz has to end in your steal. Here's an example of a clip where we tried running a blitz between the two top defenders in a zone, and the point guard actually ended up taking a really stupid shot. I might have not gotten the steal, but I was in perfect position to guard his fadeaway 3 while he had takeover. Remember guys, at the end of the day, while you are a lockdown defender, sometimes the steal is not always what's in your team's best interest. A lot of times it's you that's putting the pressure on the offensive player, forcing them to throw a steal to one of your teammates, forcing them to throw the ball out of bounds, or forcing them into taking a terrible shot. So remember, Franklin, just because you don't have 10 steals in the box score does not make you a bad lock, because just like real life basketball, a lot of the defensive stats are not on the box score. Next, let's talk about on-ball steals. This on-ball steal section will probably have the least player skill involved, and that's mainly because a lot of the times your steal attribute is going to determine how successful you are with getting these steals. But that doesn't mean that you can't have bronze or silver of those badges and still be successful, because the tips that I'm about to give you guys for on-ball steals will maximize your chances for getting plucks and steals on any level of badges for steals that you have. And here are the tips that I'm going to be giving you guys. The most important part about on-ball rips is your timing, meaning that you want to be able to reach at the specific right moments that will maximize your chances of getting a steal. Now, when are some of these moments, for example? Well, there are a bunch, but here are just a few to name. The most common times you are going to want to reach is either when players recklessly start dribbling in front of you, body-to-body dribble moves. You want to try to reach while players are switching hands, and you want to take advantage of the other player's animations. That third part is going to be the easiest adjustment to make out of all three. There are many times where players enter animations that they can't really break out of. And so with that being the case, you could reach during the middle of those animations, assuming you get the time right and you're in the right spot, and you'll break them out of the animation. They can't do anything. They might as well let go of the fucking controller, because there ain't shit that they could do about it. So as you can see right here, we have a bunch of clips and examples of steals where I'm taking advantage of the spacing, I'm taking advantage of people's animations, whether they're trying to switch hands or not. When it comes to the switching hands steals, you want to try to target it to when they switch the ball into the hand of the side that you're guarding. So for example, if you are on their right side, you want to wait for them to cross from the left to the right, and vice versa. The closer you are, less distance your arm has to travel, the higher chance you are going to get a steal. Depending on what your steal is, it could be very rare that you just tap X and your player does some crazy animation and rips the ball. That happens to me time to time, just because I have a 99 steal. But if you're not rocking a really high attribute, you have to be smart about when you reach. Because as we talked about in the defensive adrenaline section of the video, spam reaching really fucks you over because it leaves you with no adrenaline, it turns you into a defensive vegetable, and we already told Franklin not to be a defensive vegetable. But on top of that, it can put Franklin in foul trouble. So guess what? If you're in foul trouble, there's no more reaching, Franklin. I'm sorry. Unless you don't care if you foul out, but that'd be kind of weird. And now, y'all, last but not least, we are in the final section of Chapter 2. We're going to be talking about passing lane steals. Now, really similar to on-ball steals, passing lanes have a really important factor, which is timing. But in addition to timing, distance is another factor that can help you guys out. Let's say player A is passing the ball to player B, and your goal is to intercept that pass. In theory, the best place to stand to get that steal would be somewhere from around the middle to closer to the receiving player of the ball. This way, this gives you as much time as possible to get in line and press X to time your steal. If you're standing right next to the person that's passing the ball, it can be difficult for you to time X correctly since you have such a low chance of making the reaction in time. So let's have a quick pop quiz. Let's say Franklin is playing 2K and he wants to get a interceptor steal from a big man trying to kick out to the perimeter. Where should he stand in order to best position himself to get the steal? Option A, next to the big. Option B, closer to the perimeter player. Or option C, up your ass and around the corner. If you guessed option B, that would make you correct. And if you guessed option C, fine God, because we all know you need it. So realistically, passing lane steals is as simple as that. Now, every now and then, you could throw some creativity to it and try to bait people by purposefully having yourself out of position and predicting a pass coming. Another thing that I wanted to address is I notice a lot of people complaining that sometimes they feel that they're in the right position or they're not getting the passing lane steals that they want. That is okay. There are so many times where I'm on a 99 steal lockdown with Hall of Fame interceptor and the ball flies over my head or right through my hands. It is okay to make mistakes, especially as a lockdown defender. No lock in 2K history has ever been perfect, and I doubt you guys will be too. So don't take this shit so personally. And with that, we conclude chapter 2. Let's head into chapter 3, which is interior defense. Interior defense is quite a simple concept, as long as you can understand these two words. Stop jumping. You have no clue how many times I see people in perfect positions to make a play, and then they start spamming Y, and boom, they get a bucket scored on them. As a diehard Knicks fan, I have heard Walt Clyde Frazier say over and over again, the cardinal sin of defense is leaving your feet. And he's absolutely correct when he says that. When you are jumping into the air, you can't control yourself and you're basically just a body. If the ball bounces off of you, that's great. Hands up defense in 2K is legit the real deal. And of course, if you know the timing and if you study the other player's tendencies, you can always jump for a block. There's nothing wrong with jumping in the grand scheme of things. But what there is a problem with is spamming Y, because it takes you out of defensive position, it dogs your adrenaline, and more often than not, it actually increases their chances of getting a bucket versus you just putting your hands up. I'm on a 6'7" lock, and I play hands up defense on 7-foot+ bigs all the time. It's about staying disciplined. People at the end of the day are going to try to fake you out at all costs. So what's the only way to not get faked out? Simply do not spam the Y button. A few things that I like to look for, I like to look at the opposite player's legs, kind of like feet and knees, because obviously if they're about to go for a jump, you could see that they're about to leave their feet, they're starting to bend their knees, and that will more likely give you the chance to be able to jump and get a block at the rim. Listen, just think about it this way. Would you rather be somebody that blocks 3 shots in a game but allows 20 points in the paint, or somebody that blocks 0 shots a game and allows 5 points in the paint? I think you guys know what the obvious answer is. And echoing what I said before, a lot of the defensive stats are not on the box score. So if you're not getting 5 blocks a game, it does not matter. That doesn't make you a bad lock, that doesn't make you a bad inside center, and that doesn't mean you're not doing your job. And now we find ourselves at chase down blocks. Good old chase downs, man. Unfortunately for chase down blocks, there's not really much I could say about this. Besides, you have to know the right timing to jump, and you should try to study the people that you're playing against. On this build, I have a gold chase down, which means that I'm more likely to get good animations and a block than people who have lower or no chase down at all. But at the end of the day, if you notice that your opponent always likes to take it up, sometimes you just gotta say fuck it and press Y. And of course, not to say the least, but chase down blocks, they're pretty fun to get, I can't lie. There's nothing more satisfying than getting a disgusting chase down block and getting like fucking 80% takeover. And it also makes your opponent feel like shit. And that's Mama Take. Hee hee! Mama! But that's all I really got for chase down blocks. So let's go ahead and let's head into this final section. So, y'all want to know how to press in NBA 2K, and it's as simple as this. Simply go up to the PG that's receiving the inbound pass and make his life a living hell. Get bumpy with him, make as much contact with him as possible, try to force him out of bounds, force him into making a bad pass, or even ripping the ball. The whole point of pressing is to make the point guard want to uninstall the game. Now remember, as I said before, getting a steal is not always the end-all be-all case of being a lockdown. Many times, you can frustrate the point guard mentally, throw him out of bounds, throw him to make a terrible pass, and the most underrated thing about the press is dogging their stamina and adrenaline before they can even get across half court and run the offense that they want to run. Now from this point, there's no real quote-unquote secrets to getting this done. The best way to practice pressing is literally just getting in the rec or the pro-am or the threes and just trying to stick with your defender. Try to track his movements around, try to be able to react to him, follow him around left and right, things of that nature. Eventually, you'll get so good at pressing that you will run into games where the point guard literally cannot cross half court with the ball for the entire game. And yes, there's no cap in that statement. I have had several of those games happen to me just on this 2K. But Professor Guga is going to make a quick disclaimer to his students. If you get burned on the press, it's going to make it difficult for your teammates to pick up for your defender, and that can lead to free wide open shots. So be sure when you're pressing to have great communication with the rest of your teammates so y'all can have y'all's rotations down while you recover. And finally, after all this time, I want to congratulate you, my bright young students, because you have officially completed Professor Guga's Lockdown Academy. Woo! That's a huge accomplishment, because if you follow all these tips and if you practice daily, you will go from the casual or below average lock that you may be to an elite lock in absolutely no time. I want to thank everybody who stuck throughout this entire video. Go ahead and comment whole video gang in the comments if you did, and I'm gonna reiterate it one more time. It took me hours to get all this footage, edit, and get everything prepared for you guys. So if you enjoyed this video, please drop a like. It's free and it helps me out a lot. And also consider subscribing to the channel. I'm gonna catch y'all on the next video, and as always, have a lovely day.